All right, guys, welcome back to another podcast. It's your boy, Greer White. I'm your host. This is episode 9 of the Hunt and Harvest podcast, but this episode is going to be tied to the YouTube series episode 3 of Hunt and Harvest, which is where I film, either a farm tour or something relating to my peach farm, or could be a hunt that I went on, and then I discuss the hunt or the farm tour or the farmer that I'm with, or pretty much anything. There's no box. I mean, most of my focus is on entrepreneurship, hunting, agriculture, all sorts of stuff like that. But I mean, I don't want to box myself in. So we're back for another episode. But today is about planting day, which is that video that I have posted on YouTube, which is the related video on this podcast for just a whole day of me planting. It's titled planting 125 peach trees and praying to God I succeed as a farmer, entrepreneur, or something like that. I just posted it today. This podcast is about that, and it's going to be some basics on planting peaches, what you need to do beforehand and, what it's like, and also just kind of a recap of that. It was more like a 3 or 4 day experience. There's a lot of work that went into that. From digging the holes and trimming the roots, planting the peaches, wet planting them, the methodology that I used and how long it took me to do it. It was pretty tedious and it took a long time, but I'm gonna go over some basics for those who are looking to plant any type of fruit or nut tree real quick. And then I'll get into recapping what that video, or what that day was like for me and what those days were like for me. Because I think planting day is a very big day and a very special day, even though it's very hard and it actually doesn't just take one day to do it. But some basics of planting fruit or nut trees are you're going to want to do a lot of site preparation after you select your site. Site selection is a huge deal. Sometimes, if you're planting in your backyard or maybe you don't have as much land as you'd like as I do, I definitely want to have more land. I'm not complaining. I have so much. God has given me so much through him and through my family to have these opportunities, but I definitely want more land. And so if you're like me and you need more land, you don't have the perfect site to plant everything, you got to work with what you're given. And even if it's a backyard, you can do it pretty much anywhere. But there's, a lot of factors for you to consider, especially if you're trying to grow for serious fruit production. And that is, you want open sun, you want full sunlight throughout the day, as much as you can, really. So it's not, if you've seen any of my other videos, you can tell that my peach orchard is very close to a tree line, or at least some of them are, but it gets a majority of the sun, or it acquires. Why am I having such a problem speaking today? We're a raw, unedited podcast. You need full sun, as much sun as you can get, as much sunlight as you can get, because obviously plants need sun and they need water, and you want to make sure you have access to water. It's been very difficult to water my new plot in this drought that we're in right now, so you definitely want to have access to water. You want full sunlight, and you want to make sure your grade is good as well. I made some mistakes with this orchard in not preparing the grade as good as I should have, but some of those things in between the rows can be amended with equipment and proper planning. And you just don't want to give yourself too many problems to deal with later. You want to have all that squared away. And another big thing is soil samples. You want to make sure you know what your pH range is, or what your soil pH is, and you want to have it in around 6 to 6.2 for peaches. And so like here in North Carolina, it's very acidic, so sometimes you have to lime and incorporate, and you have to do that stuff prior to planting, because you can't disc in and till in lime if there's a tree in the ground already, because then trees in the way. So you got to do that stuff first, and it's really good to know what you need to add. And if you don't know what to fertilize with, whether you need a 10-10-10 or 17-17-17, whatever concoction you need of fertilizer, if you're going to be top dressing, you need a soil sample to know what your going to need. And leaf tissue analysis, which is something I want to do this year, is something that can really help you figure out, what your trees are lacking or what they're thriving on and what you need more of. And another thing about planting, or you're about selecting your site, is air drainage, because there's a lot of susceptibility when growing fruit to late frosts and freezes that will, destroy your crop. And I've had some losses. I also prune very heavily. This is my second year, so losses. I'm not even really focused on peach growth. I have some peaches, which is really cool, but I'm not knocking them off because I barely have any. And I've pruned really hard in the winter, where I would have had a lot of, buds that would have ended up being peaches. But I pruned a lot of it off because I'm still training to an open center, and these trees are on their second growing season. They're not ready for supporting a full fruit load, nor are they capable of one. So you definitely want to think about air drainage and the type of variety you want with the right chill hours to meet your zone or meet your area, so that way you're hopefully maximizing your chance of not having those losses. But sometimes the late frost and freezes, I've been told that can really help with controlling how many peaches you have, because it can be a good thing that you have some losses, because say you've got a really mature peach tree. I believe Dr. Parker told me in his class that a mature peach tree can have up to 25,000 flowers, fruit, buds that can become peaches. I'm not certain if that's 100% correct, but it's a lot. It's a ton. And so sometimes those late frosts and freezes can take out some of those, and you don't even have to thin them yourself. Some people beat them off with a baseball bat when they have too many, because a tree can't have that many peaches on each branch. You gotta make sure you gotta thin them out to be optimal, so that way you can have an actual big juicy peach. And so you want to have good site selection for that, to make sure you have good air drainage and you're choosing the varieties. There's a handful. I got a handful of North Carolina varieties. They have more chill hours, which theoretically, I'll have more of a chance to not lose as many, because they'll be blooming later, and hopefully the weather will accommodate that, and I'll accommodate. You can't predict the weather. I mean, it just happens, and you can put infrastructure in to protect yourself, but that's really expensive. But I don't want to get off on that, because I don't have any of that, nor do I know a bunch about that. But air drainage is actually a big part to play. You don't want to be planting in deep spots on properties, like valleys and stuff, where air settles and cools. Cold air goes. Hot air rises, cold air settles, goes lower. So if say you have rolling hills or valleys or whatever, those peach trees at the bottom are more likely to be susceptible to those late frosts and freezes, where up the hill it could be a couple degrees warmer in those hours where you're, threatened by cold weather in late spring. So that's important. And if you're just growing in your backyard and you don't have all these choices to make, that's okay. You can still plant your fruit and nut trees. But those are things to think about. Now, when you're digging the hole and planting the peach in there, a lot of people put stuff in the hole. And from what I learned at school and what I've been doing here on the farm, and, people I've worked with and learned from from Ben at Lakeview Pecans, another episode you should check out. It's my second episode on the series of Hunt and Harvest and second podcast. Really great guy. And, the Peach Growers Association, all the stuff I've heard from all these growers and learned from working with Ben and doing this, that you don't need to put anything in the hole. A lot of people put bioash and Osmocote and fertilizer and all this stuff. They're putting things in the hole. You don't need to do that. You can top dress with your fertilizer after. Just put the dirt back in the hole. Dig the hole, trim the roots a little bit if you want to. I've heard a lot of people say, no, don't get rid of any roots. I've seen people trim a little. I just take off the edges, because, pruning invigorates growth, and I think that applies to roots as well. So I just take the tips of the taproot and the feeder roots off. So that's something you can do. You don't have to. Some people probably get mad at that, but everybody's got an opinion on something. Just do what you think is best. But don't put anything strange in the hole, and just cut the roots a little bit if you want to, or don't, and just make them start, if you watch my video that's related to this podcast, you'll see that I was meticulously planted, because I mean, these trees are hopefully going to be here for a decade or so. I'm happy to spend the tedious, meticulous time making sure I planted it exactly the way I want it, because I'm not going to move it later. This isn't getting changed later. This tree I'm putting it in here. It's going to stay here. I want the roots to be literally set in place. Obviously I could go way faster planting and struggle way less, but I want to meticulously plant these trees. So I'm making sure the feeder roots are spread out in like a good formation, and the scarring up the sides of the holes, because when you're using an auger or a spade shovel or whatever, you're gonna end up creating like a wall of your hole. So it's gonna, especially if you have clay or silty, not sandy loam type soil, you're gonna have your roots, it's kind of a hard thing for them to break through that wall. So it's good to scar them up. You'll see in the video, I scar them up a lot. You can do it with a shovel, a tamp, a little edger, that's what I used. I mean, whatever you want to do, but just scar up the sides of the hole after you dig it, because that will give the roots easier time to break through and establish. And that's a really good thing, because roots are massively important for every plant. And also when you think about orchards, pecan orchards, peach trees, all these stuff, especially in the southeast, you got hurricane season and hailstorms and crazy winds that take out orchards and knock trees over. Like last year, I had trees wiggling around from insane rain. We're in a drought now, but last year we have had more rain than I've seen in my entire life. We had like 21 inches in July. Unheard of. And now we have, you can't buy a raindrop, but these orchards, you hear stories and see pictures of orchards just getting knocked over. You want to make sure from, crazy winds and hailstorms and hurricanes and all that stuff, tornadoes too or whatever, but some things, acts of God, some things you just can't stop or help or prevent, but you see some trees live out of all that stuff. You want to give your tree roots the best establishment you can, and that's another reason you plant in the winter, because the trees are dormant and the roots will still grow and establish, and that way you're not also growing on the top end with the scion, leafing out. You got a bunch of vegetative growth at the same time that you're trying to establish roots. That's why it's good to plant in like January or February, and let them have like a month or two, which I planted late this year, but give them as much time as you can. But late winter, mid to late winter is a great time to plant your fruit and nut trees, because it gives them time to establish. And this is true for a lot of trees, I believe, probably all trees. I'm just speaking to what I know. I gotta stop saying and like. That'd be awesome. Super important to do that, and also super important to prune, but I've got another video on pruning. Pruning in the winter is important as well. You want to make sure those roots have a good establishment, because you might save yourself from potential losses from insane floods or hurricane or hailstorm, crazy winds. I had so much rain and wind and like crazy storms last year that they were moving around, and that was a very vulnerable time for the orchard, because I didn't have any roots in the ground except the trees, really, because I had sprayed the grass, or I had tilled up. I was trying to plant grass seed. I had just incorporated lime, so it wasn't like there was really anything holding the soil all together. I just put trees in the ground. It was like bare ground, so it was a very vulnerable time. And then the insane rains did not help. All the erosion and wind and movement I'm really glad. I'm looking at the trees that I'm right now on the other side. You can't see them, that were struggling in this way during that storm. I'm just so glad they lived. But these are good things to think of when you're putting that tree in the ground. And just cover the tree back up, elevate it as much as you can, especially if you are in not well draining soil, or you get a ton of rain. You don't want to drown these trees, because phytophthora in the growing season, which is like root rot, it kill your trees. It doesn't take long. I've had some losses from it. I believe, from the insane rains we had last year. You just gotta make good choices in the beginning so that way you don't have so many losses later. And it seems like it's doing well for the most part. My tree percentage loss was probably 10-15%, and I actually took up some more that I probably could have kept just because they were so small and weak from the nursery. I just thought I'd replace them. But I've had some success. I've already got peaches on trees that are 2 years old, but or they're on their second year. But you got to make sure that when you're planting your trees, you're not making mistakes that are going to bite you later. And what else? What else was there to talk about planting? I wet plant. You don't have to do this. Something I do. I think it does good. I just, if you watch the video, you'll see me pour the bucket of water in before I put the dirt in. So I'll like make sure the roots are all good, pour the water in, cover it with the soil, and I feel as if it settles really nicely. Some people prefer to cover the dirt. Gosh, got to work on my articulation. Cover the trees with the dirt, pour the water over, and they think it settles back. It doesn't. You can do whichever one you like. I have had good experiences with wet planting. It's what Ben Bird does at Lakeview Pecans. And you also want to make sure the graft union is above the soil line. It's funny, every time I say something that I think is a good piece of advice, which I do believe it is, I wouldn't say it if I didn't. I also have met people or read things or learned from somebody else that definitely smarter than me or has more experience or has just a different opinion on the matter, and it's like, oh no, you can plant the graft union below the soil, or no, you absolutely can't do that, or wet planting is no good, there's too many air pockets in the hole, or wet planting's better, it settles better. Everyone's got a different opinion for how you should do something, and you just gotta pick and choose what you're gonna do and see what works for you, as well as pay attention to the research as much as you possibly can, and just keep experimenting and experiencing stuff, but always stay learning at the same time. There's no reason that you can't learn from multiple different people and sources of information, but also there's a ton of information that is probably needs to go in the garbage can. And I'm sure there's someone out there that thinks, well, some of the things I just said is some of those things that need to go in the garbage can, but you really just got to keep trying it out. Things are working for me, and I hope they keep working, and I hope it works for you if you are doing this or want to get started doing this in any manner of speaking. I think it's a really rewarding process, and I have thoroughly enjoyed doing this, and I thoroughly enjoy doing the podcast. I just quit my job. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but like I said, solo or with a guest, I don't like to box myself in, so I feel like I can talk whatever I want. I just love the podcast. I just quit my job a few weeks ago, just got married, and I'm going to be buying wholesale peaches from one of the growers that I'm actually the president, and another family as well. Hopefully I will be buying peaches from them wholesale for now. I don't have enough peaches to fulfill sales here in my community, but I got some. But years to come, it'll be mine instead of theirs. But I'm going to be selling wholesale. I'm going to be purchasing wholesale and reselling them and bringing them to my market here and doing a bunch of other things. I've got a coffee farm that I have gratefully I have found this family who has a coffee farm in El Salvador through a friend of mine from my job that I just quit. He got me connected with these people, and we're working something out where we're going to be helping them sell coffee. I'll be buying it from them and reselling it. So good. I used to hate coffee. The coffee is amazing, and I love the brother and sister that I met. They're so nice, and I'm really looking forward to working with them. I think I've got a really good opportunity here to provide high quality produce from people I know, from me, the eggs, the peaches, the coffee. You know, I've got chickens and all these things that I'm doing. I think I've got a really good opportunity to provide this produce to people, and I'm very excited. So if you've made it this far in the podcast, look for me on Facebook and Instagram and come get some peaches and eggs and watermelons and other stuff and coffee here at the end of the road. All my stuff will be posted on my social media on Instagram and Facebook. Those links are on my YouTube. If you look on my channel page or in the description here, you can find it. I am so excited to be doing all this stuff. I don't want to ever have a job again. I want to be self-employed. I want to make this work, and I just love making YouTube videos. And the YouTube video that I made planting this new plot and replanting the few that I had lost here due to the root rot and the mistakes I made. It was a really fun video. I mean, the video, I hope it entertains people. You know, I wouldn't say it's like the most cinematic or fun video. It's more of like an outdoor boys style video. I'm just following myself around with the tripod and talking about what I'm doing and planting these peaches. And it's just such a endeavor. Planting day is such, I say day, but it takes several days. Planting day is such an endeavor, a tedious, endeavor that you have to just, especially when you're all alone, you just got to keep going and plugging on. And your back is crazy. You're just like this the whole time, you know. It's a lot of work, and it's actually way better than a lot of things that I have to do in life. I actually really enjoy it, so that's good. But it is very hard to do. Even 125 trees, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. And I gotta stop saying it was so crazy doing all the work and having Trey help me. That's my brother, or my brother-in-law. He was helping me dig all the holes and film everything. Chris too, he was helping me film things. And then the day after, which is the video I'm referencing now, I was just grinding away, planting these as meticulously as I could, so that way they're set up for success. And it was just crazy how I don't know, it was just a never-ending battle. And then the rain came, the downpour that happened at the end when I was about to finish, like all the bundles of trees at the very end. It just started pouring, and it was like dark at this time, because this, it got dark around 7 this time. It was right after daylight savings. So, and then I was like going to keep going through the night. I only had 25 more trees left, or 20 trees left, or something like that. And it just started pouring like crazy. And I had to stop and do it the next day. So, I mean, really, it probably took 2.5 days for me to do it. I was taking off work to make this happen. Because, it's been really crazy to split my time between a day job at the oil company and try to do YouTube, editing, podcast, all the work here on the farm, building chicken coop. Thank God I had so much help on that, because I ain't no carpenter, but I've learned a lot, man, and it's been a good experience. I feel as if, not that I've wasted my time, because the job was super helpful and I learned a lot and am a more capable man because of that job. I'm very grateful. God put me there for a reason. But I told myself a while ago, right around when I get married, that I would be quitting my job and betting on myself and doing this full time. And I'm really grateful that I kept that promise to myself. And I just want to keep the people in my life, I want to make them proud, my wife and my family and her family. I want to make them proud and provide for them. And I have big dreams, and they just sound crazy when I say them out loud. Yeah, I want to farm peaches, and I want to farm and do YouTube full time and have a storefront and sell food. And I don't know, it just sounds weird when I say it out loud. And I really want it. I really want it to work. And I want to help people, and I want to make quality things available for people. What's that, Risky? What's up, Bo? This is my dog, Duke. Got eye boogers. He's all right. But yeah, I mean, I really want to make this work for not really just my own sake. I mean, I've had these dreams for a while, and they keep evolving, and I know there's no tip of the spear thing, but I really, really want to make the people I love proud and be able to provide for them, because I don't want to waste my life. I was thinking about this today, I think I wrote it in the description of the video that I'm referencing in this podcast, the planting day video. I get so afraid when planting the trees, when doing any sort of investment, whether it's physical labor, money, usually it's both, time. I think to myself, God, is this going to be profitable? And I don't mean necessarily money. Is this going to work? Am I wasting my time here chasing these crazy dreams? I don't even think they're that crazy, but I mean, I guess when you say them out loud, I want a couple million subscribers and a produce farm and garden type store, farm stand thing. And are these going to work? Should I be doing something else? Should I go back to the comforting normalcy job, whatever it is, and just spend my time working on something else? Because, I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years, and these peach trees are probably going to live for 10 to 12 years, I hope, and hopefully they produce and stuff. I don't want to go anywhere. But I also do, I want to buy more land. I want to do stuff. I'm putting a lot of inputs into my family's land. And it's not like guaranteed, it's not all going to be mine. It's me and my sisters, and it's like an open-ended thing. But life is open-ended, and I'm scared. I'm afraid that these things won't work. But if I were to change my mind and switch to something else at 24, almost 25 now, kind of need to pick something, which I have. But the same problem still exists if I switch to something else. I'm afraid, I'll still be afraid if it's going to work, and I'll be starting over again. Or even worse than that, I'll be stuck doing something that is truly a waste of my time, or something I truly don't love, and not for fulfilling my purpose and serving God and providing for my family like I hope to be. It's not that you can't do some of those things, or you can't do those things in a way, but I'm so afraid I'm afraid to fail, and I'm also afraid to, it's a difficult thing to describe. I maybe somebody watching who's watched this far in the podcast understands what I mean, but I know it's not a waste, but I'm still afraid. Putting the tree in the ground, I'm still afraid of, is this even worth it? Even though I want it so bad, I love it, and I want it to work out, and I know it will work out with time and effort and passion, that you're still thinking, what am I doing? Is this really it? Is this gonna be it? What's the next form? But you can't be living in the future like that all the time. You can't be living in the past. You got to live in the present. So that's why whenever I think that way, I bring myself back to the present moment of, thank God I'm alive today to pursue this. Thank God I get to put this input in and see what comes out of it. And it's up to me how much goes into it, and it's up to me to make it work. So it's such a gift. So if you get to plant anything, if you get to do anything or pursue anything in life, whether it's, literally you're planting something or you're following a dream, and you're scared and you're putting all these inputs in, and money and time and effort, wondering, are you wasting your time? Is this worth it? Just remember, you're not here for a long time. I'd rather spend the time I am here, whether it's 25 years or 100, 120 years, I'd rather spend that time pursuing something I'm passionate about, something I care about, even if it's failing and I'm learning from it. I'd rather spend that time pursuing the thing I really want to do with my life and it fail than me waste my time doing something that I'm not passionate about, or just sticking with some comfortable choice for the rest of my life that is, sort of good enough, but will leave me regretting at the end of my life. So, trying to think what else I want to talk about, because, it's mainly about planting peaches, but it's also about, planting a tree for your life. Best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Second best time is today. So plant your tree, whether that's literal or metaphorical. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. Please come check me out at my farm stand. I'm going to be live streaming probably 2 to 3 times a week when I'm out there selling, when it's peach season. I'm going to try to figure out a self-serve thing if I can save up enough money through sales and live streaming and stuff for a mobile trailer that I can sort of leave as a self-serve. Got a lot to figure out. But if you guys live in my region, come check me out. Come, or just watch the live streams or subscribe to this video, leave a comment, share this, 5-star me on Spotify, whatever it is, hype up the video. I'm super grateful for any interaction and any comment that I get off of a podcast or a video that I like, where someone resonates or learns something or gets entertained, or just any of that means the world to me. I respond to literally all of them. And I'm trying to get better at this stuff. Practice makes perfect, and now that the day job is out of the way, I know that I'll be able to put more into this. I don't want to add too much to my plate, because I want to give you guys everything that I can, and give the farm everything that I can, and make this business actually successful, because it does need to be successful in a way for me to be able to continue doing it. So I don't want that to, whatever. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for putting up with my my pauses. I'm definitely not editing and going to post it just like this, because this is how we improve. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Click that related video and go watch it. Leave a comment and tell me what you thought and what you like seeing on my channel, because I've been posting a lot of long form videos, and I need help figuring out the best format to give y'all what you want. So if you guys like hunting and agriculture and entrepreneurship, self-development, that kind of thing, whatever it may be that we talk about, if you like it, stick around, subscribe. Really appreciate y'all, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.